Hey guys, so I'm making this video on the morning of Sunday, March 2nd. I have some videos scheduled, so this I think isn't gonna be scheduled until next weekend. So it'll be interesting to see what has happened in the next week by the time this is posted. Somebody left me a comment yesterday on Reddit asking, how do we manifest away this whole Trump thing, and how do we manifest away, the world situation? And I've made a few videos on that lately. I think one of them was in A Course in Miracles lesson review that turned into something along those lines. And I made another video about how to manifest changes in world leaders that are committing atrocities. And the answer is always the same. And, it's like you just forget this. It's all encompassing. So if you do anything outside of this and you slip back into the world, then, it's just like you're in the illusion. And then it's so unpalatable when you realize the answer is always the same. It's not something in the world of illusion that has to change. It's you. It's rough, but, look, here's the bottom line for everybody who is watching world events, who, almost nobody is getting their information from the horse's mouth here. It's basically all coming through news coverage. It's coming through YouTube coverage. Everything you're seeing is distorted. First of all, everything you're seeing in the world is distorted by your own faulty perception. That's the first thing. But the second thing is, through your faulty, distorted perception, you are seeing pretty much only things delivered, not only through other humans' faulty and distorted perception, but you're also seeing the information that you're getting coming through a purposely distorted lens that has an agenda from every single thing you're seeing. Okay? If that's not enough to convince you that you're creating your own fearful state, then, what else can I say to convince you? Stop right now and look around wherever you are. Is the building on fire? Is there a guy with a knife running at you? Is the building about to collapse? Are you having a heart attack? Everything is fine. And this idea that it's not going to be fine is the thing that is causing all of your pain and discomfort and anxiety right now. So we have your faulty perceptions. We have the fact that the info that's being presented to you for you to view through your faulty perceptions also being faulty and distorted. And then we have the fact that you're sitting here and you're fine right now. I mean, even if you're laying in the hospital, you're fine right now. So, I mean, that's a normie world, I think, reality check. The things that are causing you anxiety are in a gigantic blob of unknown. Gigantic blobs of unknown are always a boogeyman. They always just stem from an underlying fear of change, fear of unknown, fear of death. It's just this thing that humans are afflicted with. Okay? So this is what all these people are existing in right now, as they're electing to read news coverage, watch news coverage, listen to news commentary. This is a completely and totally insane way of living. That being said, if you're enjoying it, that is your prerogative. If you are enjoying participating in this drama in this way, that is up to you, because you get to choose. I spent 9 months last year, 8 months, absolutely freaking out on some level. for like 8 months, just freaking out. And I kept coming back to this, what I'm saying in this video. I kept coming back, like reach a fever pitch, and I would tell myself the things I'm telling you right now, and sort of recognize that I was making the choice to do this and that it was an illusion, and that I had the choice of stopping it. And I found that I didn't want to. It was too much fun for me on some level. It was like watching a crazy psychological thriller in a movie, only I was actually in the movie, but peripherally enough that I wasn't directly being harmed. That was the key point for me. That was the dead giveaway for me. I found that when I considered the idea of not participating in the drama anymore, that I had no desire to check out. That changed at the end of the year last year. My focus shifted to something else, and I dropped that whole thing. It was over. Once the election was over and there was no more drama, it was just, there was drama, but it wasn't drama that I found interesting after that point. It just dropped away, and I turned my attention to other dramas that are going on. If you can look at what you're doing right now, and at the very least recognize yourself in what I just described, then, you can use that understanding to sort of coast through all this a little better, and to not take it to that point where you're really absolutely freaking out about it and having anxiety that you can't control. If you're at that point, you either need to turn away from this, or, really spend some time thinking and admitting to yourself that this is a choice you're making. You're creating this anxiety and drama in your life by choosing to put your focus on the things that are causing that, despite the fact that you hopefully intellectually can understand that your viewpoint is distorted, the newscaster's viewpoint is distorted, and the whole message is being distorted by people that are making money off of this. Okay, if you understand those three things and you still can't take a step back, I would say you really have to decide to completely turn it off. It is that simple. I think the thing that is scaring a lot of people right now also is just, well, I probably already said this, but it's this idea of the unknown. And like the unknown is somehow different from where you are right now. There is this grand illusion, where we are familiar with things in our day-to-day lives. They're familiar to us. We have routines. Even people, I think, that hate routine they have things they do every day. They have things they like. They have a food they like to eat, or a drink they like to drink, or a place they like to go to take a hike, or a person they talk to. There's something that every single human being or things every day does to kind of ground themselves and to produce some stability mentally. And people hate when those things change. And it is this illusion, this like amnesia that we just drop into, thank God, because it would be just so intense to be in touch with this every minute of every day. There's this amnesia that we drop into or this illusion that we're not living in that gigantic blob of unknown all the time. There's this idea that we have our familiar surroundings, we're stable, we're getting in the car to drive somewhere that we've been a million times. Nothing's going to happen. At any given time, because we don't actually directly control the events of the outer world, we just influence them and influence the direction, but the how we get from point A to point B is not our business. Anything can happen at any time as a part of that. You have no idea what things mean when they happen, and you have no idea what is going to happen to move you forward in your life. And yet we exist every day in this idea that we do kind of know what's going to happen right now. And then that's supported by those things happening much of the time. And then when things do happen that are out of the routine, out of the ordinary, we're just amazing at just like, oh, that was a one-off. Just forgetting that exists and not extrapolating from that and living in the knowledge constantly that what that means is that you are living in the unknown already. So two things. One, you have no idea what is going to happen tomorrow. And that is not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a fact. You have no idea what is going to happen tomorrow. So aside from some actions that you can take that don't hurt anything, that, you can do basically right now and forget about, like saving money or whatever, or getting, some stuff that you might need if you're afraid that things are going to be more difficult to get, or that there could be some sort of, crazy event that goes down. Other than doing stuff like today, like going and getting, a 36 pack of macaroni and cheese or something like that, and throwing it in your closet, doing stuff like that where you might actually, then experience the illusion of some security. Other than things you can do right now, you don't really need to be doing things, and living in your mind in the future, there's really, it's just like makes no sense, and is truly kind of insane to be thinking further than tomorrow, because you have no idea what is going to happen tomorrow. Can I remind you of COVID? I mean, look, there's a perfect example of how every single person in the world's plans were rendered completely meaningless. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And, everything that you have made these wasted your time making these long-term plans for, could be upended at any time by any number of things. And so this is not, I'm not saying this to increase the anxiety. I'm saying this because in the moment, there is very little anxiety. Today, if you're just thinking about today, not just completely disregarding actions you could take today that you might benefit from in the future, but just there's no anxiety in the today. Anxiety is about the future. And worrying about the future that you think is coming when you have no clue what's happening tomorrow. COVID's a great example, not a happy one, but it's just an example of how this idea of the future is an absolute illusion. And to spend time thinking about it, and especially to spend time feeling anxious about it, is a total waste. Do what you can today, and do it not in an anxious state. I think you'll find if you catch yourself having anxious thoughts and you say, is this happening today or tomorrow? No. Okay, I just don't need to think about this because I have no idea what's going to happen today or tomorrow. I think what this does also, in addition to reducing anxiety, is you will come to see through experience, through actually living through a bunch of stuff that, it would have been a waste of time for me to think about that, because look at this thing that happened that opened up this entirely new opportunity for me that rendered my old line of thinking completely irrelevant, or whatever, or just whatever. You can come up with a million examples of how that could play out. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing, more broadly, just to bring this back to the manifesting concepts. I'm not sure you create much of anything, but you don't create anything really good coming from the mindset of scarcity and lack. And fear and anxiety fall right into that category. So if you're somebody who believes in manifesting and you consider yourself a manifester, and you're feeding all your energy into these ideas of, this like political threat, war threat, injustice, all this stuff, if you're feeding your energy into that, if you're spending any significant amount of time on it, really any amount of time on that, you are existing in the very state that you don't want to be creating things from. You want to be creating from the field of all possibilities, the level of abundance, the level of, the opposite of scarcity. You want to be coming from creative mind, you know, which is the opposite of the state that so many of these people are existing in, that are freaking out right now. You know, you have ideas that you need to be doing this, or that you'll be safer if you pay attention and are, you know, experiencing like high alert and threat. This is false. This is an illusion. And I hope that you can wake up from it, because, you know, there's another state of existing, another state from which to see, you know, and that state, I think you're going to be able to see a lot more clearly what you need to do in order to avoid anything that, like, any threat that might exist. You'll be able to see what to do a lot more clearly if you can rise out of that state of fear and anxiety. So, you know, I hope that you can use this stuff like a tool, because really, I think, you know, getting out of these mental states is, you know, frequently like needs a multi-pronged approach. Like, you need to convince yourself intellectually, and then you need the thing that you need to say to yourself when you find that yourself in that state, and then you need to kind of understand why you're doing that, and what the purpose is. You know what I mean? And if you can get all those things, then they come together to actually create a change and a movement in how you're, like, what you're actually experiencing right now. So, you know, I hope that helped. Let me try to recap. What the hell did I just say? Basically, understand that what you're seeing is heavily distorted, not just by you, but by other people, and then by, you know, the agenda of businesses. You're not getting a real picture of what's going on. And you might say, yeah, but I watched this thing that happened yesterday at the White House. And yeah, but you don't understand that you're not seeing what happened there. All you're seeing is your projections, your judgments, the biases that you already have. You don't know what the meaning of that is. You don't know who was right or wrong in that situation. You might think you do. Pretty much everyone, I think, thinks, you know, they have an opinion. But you have to understand that you're always going to think you know. You have to understand that you don't. You have to intellectually understand that you don't. Understand you're seeing everything through your biases and your distortions, and you're projecting all kinds of things about yourself onto the situation. It's a big mess. You have to understand that you don't know what you're seeing. Okay. So, and you're electing to see it. It's not being forced into your awareness, to the degree that you're probably consuming it. So, okay, you're electing to do all this stuff. And then not only that, on top of this whole experience that you're creating for yourself, you're also fearing the future that you can't understand. You also don't know what needs to happen. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't, as the Course in Miracles has been saying, you don't really know what your best interests are. Basically, you don't know. You simply don't know. And so what is the solution? You have to understand that in this world that you are creating things from your mental state, that the only thing that matters is getting yourself out of that mental state of scarcity and fear and threat and anxiety, and getting into the state of creativity, you know, the vantage point coming from further, you know, outside of this mundane situation, abundance, understanding that there is enough for everyone, understanding that you are not cursed or doomed to experience something. You've got to rise into that state. Okay. And for a lot of people, rising into that state is going to necessitate completely turning your attention away from these things in the outer world. And for those of you who understand all that and you still keep going back to it, hey, can you at least admit to yourself that you're loving the drama? Does that make you a bad person? Who cares? Who cares? You're only a bad person for doing that if other people think so. Who cares what other people think? Seriously. Other people are just as distorted and warped as you are. Who cares what they think? Let them do their thing. You do yours. If you're enjoying the drama and you're getting off on judging everybody and thinking everybody is horrible, whichever side you think is horrible, if you're getting off on that, that's up to you. I don't judge you for that, as long as you can admit that you're doing it. Because, I mean, what is the point of, you know, creating that drama for yourself that you actually want to be experiencing? What's the point of that little edge where you can't just admit to yourself that it's not real? Like, that's the bad part. That's the part that's upsetting. That's the part that's like giving you cancer and shit. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see what has happened by the time this video is posted. However, literally nothing can have happened that negates anything I said here, because this is an evergreen, universal truth. If you are watching videos in the manifesting space and you have an argument against removing yourself from a fearful state, I don't know what to tell you. You're in the wrong place. You're coming from normie land, not from manifestation land. Okay? So, yeah. I really hope that helped anybody. I mean, this is not an easy thing to do. This isn't an easy thing to navigate. And please understand also that I am not outside of this. I'm not like, hey, I've mastered this, guys. I'm floating on a cloud all the time. Please. I dive into the drama regularly and hit that wall. And at this point, I'm just like, screw it. You know what I mean? Like, I've definitely, found myself experiencing burnout because of fear of scarcity, money, stuff like that, working too hard, not wanting to work and doing it anyway, just kind of like in that bad state where it's almost like I'm working for somebody else because I don't want to be doing it. I experience this stuff frequently, and I'm a practitioner of all of this stuff, which is why it's easy for me to talk about it, because it's stuff that I've actually done. I know the efficacy of it. I know the process of it. I do it regularly. So that's why I am able to talk about it kind of easily. But please never, ever think that I am sitting here floating on a cloud and telling you that I'm some master when it comes to this, or that I have risen above it all. It's a constant back and forth. It's a constant coming back into the world. Oh, this sucks. I'm coming from the wrong state. Oops, got to correct myself. And then rising back out, which is such an amazing feeling. It's such an, being able to catch yourself, like being able to use this tool, especially when you get good at it, is actually pretty exhilarating. And then when you pop out of that state, it's like, yes, you kind of like fly even higher. I don't know. I enjoy all of this stuff. I'm enjoying this time on Earth. And I hope you are too. And I hope that you can rise out of the anxiety. Everything is going to be okay. Everything will be fine. You're fine right now. And the important thing is for you to tell yourself something that will get you to rise out of that state, okay? You might have to run through a whole bunch of things before you hit on the right phrasing for yourself. So you could tell yourself, I'm in this state of anxiety. If I get out of this state of anxiety, if I can just see my way out of this, I'll be in a state where I can actually create a safe place for myself, or something like that. You might, tell yourself everything's going to be okay, and that's all right. You might tell yourself something like, this has been my thing lately. The outcome of whatever it is doesn't matter. It's not important. That for me is just like the most soothing balm ever. I've found that when I am sinking into that state of scarcity, often it's because I am placing importance on something that isn't, in my perception, going the right way. So something's not going the right way. It's important for it to go the way I think it should. And that will mean something if it does or doesn't. Illusion. I remind myself, the outcome of this thing doesn't matter. And the truth of that is for me, I can feel it. And feeling the truth, feeling the illusion being dispelled is just the best feeling. It's the best feeling. It's like instantly rising. It's like that anxiety just poof, it's gone. And then you repeat that and repeat that, and it whatever that thing goes away. Whatever the thing you're addressing that was causing you anxiety will, I think, just kind of like go away. You stop thinking about it. And if you say that to yourself enough times about a specific thing, it'll go away. Okay, so I think that's enough to think about. I do think it is vitally important for people who are existing in this state of fear, and the source of that fear being, these perceived threats in the outer world right now. I do think it is very important for all of y'all to stop it. Just stop it. You've got to, you need to, you need to either admit that you love it or turn your attention away from it. Please take care of yourself and each other.